guys, it is April from Getting Hooker With It. Today I'm sharing with you 10 of the most popular books on my shelves that I have not read yet. Now they are popular based on Goodreads. So these are the most highly ranked books on Goodreads. So I've got 10 of them here for you. I still have to get to them all. There's one author here that's mentioned a couple of times, which is pretty amazing for that author. And some of them surprised me. I actually got the idea of doing this video because of Derby Lane Reading. She did a video exactly like this and I loved it. So I wanted to share this with you. Let's get into it. Number 10 is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Now this is a beast. This is an enormous book. I am so intimidated by this book just by the sheer size of it. And the other thing is that I've heard kind of mixed reviews. It's very much a love it or hate it book. I remember when I did my most intimidating reads on my bookshelves, and The Goldfinch was on that video, and so many people were like, no, you have to read it immediately, like it's one of the best books I've ever read. And then other people were like, you could probably skip The Goldfinch. So I'm still nervous about it, and yet look how many people on Goodreads went after it, just hunkered down with this beast of a book and read it cover to cover. So this follows a young boy, and we kind of follow him throughout his life, and he makes some very poor decisions, and I've heard that he's not always the most likable character, and that makes me nervous to read it. But it's supposed to be absolutely brilliant, and I haven't read Donna Tartt yet, so I should probably do that. Number 9 on the list is The Memory Keeper's Daughter. This is about a baby who is born with Down syndrome. The father of the baby decides that he would like the baby to be sent far away to an asylum of sorts, or to a home to have it taken care of. And the nurse who delivers the baby decides to keep the baby for herself instead. And it's about that story, and it sounds absolutely heartbreaking. I love a good cry when I'm reading. If a book can bring me to tears, it's done a good job. So that is number 9 on the list. Next up is Emma by Jane Austen. I now only have 2 Jane Austen books that I haven't read, and Emma is one of them. And I think I'm gonna wait for next year. I just finished reading Sense and Sensibility in March and loved it. So I'm gonna definitely pick up Emma. I have to do that, right? I've got to read all of Jane Austen, but I'm a little bit nervous to finish them all because then there's no more. There's no more left. And I'm not a huge rereader, so maybe next year, maybe the year after. I want to space it out. Number 7 is another chunker, and that is The Pillars of the Earth. Now, Katie, on Life Between Words, just raves about this. But the premise of this book always puts me off. So this is about a family, I believe during the 13th century, and they are building a cathedral. And to me that sounds incredibly dry, and everyone who's read this book says the premise is terrible, but the actual characters and the storyline sucks you in, and even though this is, I think, well over 1,000 pages, you can't put it down. And actually, yes, Barry's cousin Adele was just recently talking to me about The Pillars of the Earth and how hooked she was. So this one might have to creep up on my list. Number 6 is the Poisonwood Bible. This is about an evangelical Baptist who moves his entire family, consisting of 4 girls, to the Congo in 1959. He's there on a mission, and I believe we stay there for 3 decades in post-colonial Africa. It sounds absolutely wonderful. Definitely a summary kind of read in my mind. Okay, next up we've got The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This is a book that you need to be in a fairly good place in your life, I think, to pick up something so dreary. This is very harsh kind of book about a father and a son. It's like post-apocalyptic. I don't know if we find out what happened to the world that has caused it to go kind of kaput, but we follow a father and a son. They're on a road and just trying to survive. I'm assuming they're trying to get somewhere to have like safe harbor basically, but it's supposed to be a little bit violent, a little bit depressing. I don't think I personally am quite ready to pick up the road anytime soon, but maybe in a year or so. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear in the background, Libby is snoring like crazy. Libby is my little dog. I have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and she's so cute, but the pug part of her, the snoring is, whew, it's intense. Okay, number 4 is The Glass Castle. I think, is that the only, yeah, that is the only nonfiction on this list. And The Glass Castle is just the saddest story about this woman who had a very eccentric, strange childhood. Her parents were very odd. They weren't very responsible. And in her adult life, she learns that they are on the streets and don't want help. They want to live on the streets, and she's off to go for dinner, and while she's driving in her car, she sees, I believe, her mom like picking through garbage, and I don't know what that would do to you to know that she doesn't want you to stop and be helpful, or I don't understand how you'd be able to emotionally handle that. So that is another one that's going to be really, really sad, but also really wonderful. I really want to watch the movie soon too, so maybe I'll have to prioritize this one soon. Next up, we've got 1,000 Splendid Suns. So 1,000 Splendid Suns takes place in Afghanistan, and we follow a time from the Soviet invasion to the reign of the Taliban to post-Taliban rebuilding. And I believe we're following a couple of girls in this book. Now, I could be completely wrong about that. I've heard that this is also really heartbreaking. There seems to be a theme. The books that are on my shelves that have been read mostly on Goodreads seem to be mostly heartbreakers. So I do really want to read 1,000 Splendid Suns because it's meant to be absolutely brilliant. Okay, number 2 on the list is The Alchemist. The Alchemist is about a man who goes on a journey. It's meant to be a really spiritual book. I don't know very much about it, besides it's a spiritual quest that he goes on. I believe there's a couple of love stories in here as well. It's a short little thing. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I think Barry got that for me at the beginning of our relationship, and I still haven't picked it up. Oh, sorry, babe. Okay, number 1. Number 1 is The Kite Runner. And this is the same author who wrote 1,000 Splendid Suns. I believe this also takes place in Afghanistan, and we follow 2 young boys at the end of the monarchy just before the country's revolution and its invasion by Russian forces. This is another heartbreaker, and you know, it's interesting between The Kite Runner and 1,000 Splendid Suns. I feel like it's really split down the middle which one is the ultimate favorite. So I really need to start prioritizing at least one of those. I mean, my goodness, this author is on the top 10 list twice. So I clearly need to throw him at the top of my list of books I need to read really soon. But I hope that you enjoyed this little video. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. I would love to know, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.